A lot of Black people do this thing where if you are well spoken, you articulate your words, you sound educated or you are educated, if you dress well, if you carry yourself well, if you eat healthily, all of that is considered being white to them. And it's like they think that it's only one way to be Black. You can't be Black and want to take care of your health. You can't be Black and enunciate your words well. You can't be Black and like to read. You can't be Black and do things like go to therapy and tend to your mental health. And when they see you as somebody who does these things, they immediately start slapping different stereotypes on you. They immediately think you must be bougie, you must be stuck up, you must think that you're better than everybody else, or better than them, the group of Black people who think that way. And I've really been trying not to use any controversial words, but I'll go ahead and say it. Like ghetto or hood Black people, or like hood adjacent, are Black people who like have a lot of hood or ghetto friends and family members. A lot of the times they don't see you as part of the culture, even though you are Black. So when you participate in behaviors that they feel like belong to them, like listening to certain music, like maybe Sexy Red or Glorilla or something, it's like they use things like that and whether or not you can twerk as a measure of your Blackness. They either use it to see how well you fit in with them, or sometimes if they don't want you to fit in with them, they'll exclude you from it altogether. Like, say you can dance and you do know the songs, they'll just say that you want to be like them or you want to be ghetto too or something. Like, that'll be their energy towards you. They try to give a you can't sit with us energy. It's either gonna be, oh, okay, well, she listens to Sexy Red and she can twerk, so she can sit with us. Or they kind of give a your poser energy. Or another behavior that I noticed, this is an observation. Like I have a cousin who is like that. And so she uses things like that as a measure of the person's, in a way, a measure of their worth. And the reason why I say that is because she has a cousin who I don't really even think that she likes her because she talks so much crap about her. But the cousin is like prim and proper and well put together. But when she goes out, she likes to have fun. And so she was telling me one day, oh, she is not all that. She tries to act like she is so, I don't know, professional and blah, blah, this and that. But really, when we go out, she twerking. I got videos of her shaking her ass on my phone. And it's like, well, just because she dresses in a more, I don't know, Aritzia, Zara, H&M, instead of like Rainbow or that little 99-cent fashion store that they have in a lot of cities. And let me make this clear. Just because something is more expensive doesn't mean it's better. It's about how you style it. Because you can definitely get something from Rainbow or the 99-cent store and make it look like you got it from high end if you know how to style it. But my point is you dress more like classy trendy than like um hood trendy. But back to my point, that does not exclude you from being able to like rap music or knowing how to dance. And to me, it's funny that my cousin used that as something to tear her character down. Like, why is that something that tears her character down in your eyes when that's something that you do all the time? This is literally, you make that your personality. So the thing that you make your personality is the thing that you're using to tear this woman down. Is crazy. That really shows how you view yourself. And I feel like a lot of Black people do this. I also feel like it's insane that listening to people like Sukihana, Glorilla, and Sexy Red and knowing how to twerk is a measure of black womanhood to some people. That's insane. And I actually fall into the same category as this girl who is my cousin as her other cousin. And I know that if I were to go out with her and actually have a good time, that she would hold that over my head. Use it as a way to level the playing fields and what she feels like we're worth. Because I noticed that's how she views it. When I talk to her, she loves making comments about what's ghetto and what's bougie. And at first I thought she was just saying it. But then I realized you're only saying that because you think that that's what I think and you're trying to beat me to the punch. I remember when I told her that I listened to Glorilla and Sexy Red because I do. They're fun. It's not like a way of life for me. It's just fun. And she was like, "Oh, for real? I thought that was too ghetto for you." And I was like, "Why would you think that? Who told you that? I never said that to you." And there are also a lot of black men who are guilty of this too, because they use like the type of music that you listen to and stuff like that as a measure, like pretty much just to size you up. I know if you like with the hot girl shit, they ask if you like Megan Thee Stallion, Glorilla, and Sexy Red and all that, because they use that as a measure of how easy they think you're gonna be to fuck. Excuse my language, but they use that as a measure of just how easy you're gonna be and how much quote unquote fun they can have with you. They use it as a measure of how well they think they have to treat you to get into your undies, how well they do or don't have to treat you to get into your undies. And I guarantee you that when you get to talking about how much you love Glorilla and Sexy Red and all of that, in their eyes, a lot of the times your value is going to go down. And it's not all of them, it's just the ones who are asking for those reasons. And a lot of the times, if they are specifically asking you, do you like those artists? Instead of just asking you what your music type is to get to know you, that's very likely why they're asking. They're definitely trying to size you up. How crazy is it that the very thing that some, not all, black women from the ghetto use to measure black womanhood and how quote unquote cool you are, or if you're an ally to them or not? How crazy is it that that's the very thing that their counterparts use to decide whether or not they're going to treat you well or how easy you're going to be? And something else I noticed is that when white people are illiterate, degenerate, poor, and make bad life decisions, black people embrace them with open arms. Well, ghetto black people embrace them with open arms because it's behavior that's familiar to them. Whenever white people act like that, they call it trying to be black, or they invite them to the cookout, or, give them a black card. I was getting my hair braided one day, and this white girl came in to get her hair braided. And then she started talking to me in the braider about her baby daddy and about her kids and about how he disrespects her and the kids. And she started showing us her tattoos and stuff like that. And just talking about like degenerate things. And the braider was like, "I knew you were one of us." And it's like, what? That makes her who? First of all, who's us? Because I don't fit into that. And secondly, why are you automatically giving her a black card or inviting her to the cookout? Because she makes shitty life decisions. That's crazy. And a lot of the times when you see white women like that, they're dating a hood black guy and he's their baby daddy. Or maybe their baby daddy is a hood black guy and she's dating another hood black guy. Another example is I have a white male coworker, or had a white male coworker, who was telling me that he sold drugs to get through college, to pay his tuition. And he was like really big into black culture and black music. And he knew a lot of facts about it. Like he would just tell me all kind of facts that I didn't know. Like he like studied it or something. And he would use the lowest parts of his life to relate to black culture. He used the fact that his dad, his birth father, died of a drug overdose and he didn't grow up with his real father. He used the fact that him and his mom grew up really poor. And just like I said, the worst parts of his life to relate to black culture, the brokenness, the trauma, the poverty, and all of that is what he used to like try to relate to me because I'm black and likely relate to other people and justify him liking black culture and black music and all of that. And I want to say this, he was just using it as a costume because he actually has a blonde white wife. But he still used things like that to relate to black people and still try to talk about black issues with me because he knows how black people associate pain, struggle, and illiteracy and all of that with their identity instead of it just being something that some black people have experienced. They make it who black people are as a whole. They make it black culture. That is the only way to be black to them. So that's what other people reflect back to us, except it's anti-black and racist when they do it. And when we do it, I guess it's just normal. I don't know. But that's another video for another day. But back into my point with how hood or hood adjacent black men sometimes use your participation in what's considered black culture as a woman to belittle or demean you, or to determine your value and know how easy you're going to be to manipulate, control, and to get into bed with. They're used to seeing like how their mothers have been treated by men, the types of things that their mothers put up with, the type of things they see their aunts and sisters put up with, and then they see how the men in their family treat women and the way that they get out on women. They see the way their father treats their mother or doesn't treat her if he's not in the picture. And it just becomes like a rite of passage or how things are supposed to be. Prime example, I have an ex and he grew up seeing very toxic male behavior. And they start teaching him from a very young age how to be a dog. Like purposely and actively teaching him and guiding him on how to manipulate, break, and abuse women. And the women in their family just normalizes it by saying things like, oh yeah, the men in our family love women, when in fact they don't. They just love breaking y'all. And they normalize it by saying things like, oh, we know he ain't no sissy. And when I would ask him questions about his behavior, he would always refer back to his uncles and his cousins and what his dad did and this, that, and the third. And I would hear his uncles and his cousins and stuff talking about how they use women and how they get women to do things for them and give them money and buy them stuff, and about how they never would have made it by in certain situations if they weren't able to use or manipulate this broken, traumatized woman. I've heard different men on several occasions talk about how they saw their fathers cheat on their mothers, about how their fathers used to take them with them to cheat on their mothers. And one guy I know told me about how his dad was telling him about other women that he was talking to while he was dating his mother, and was like, he didn't tell his mom because he wanted to be close to his dad so bad, and he didn't want to ruin whatever it was that was going on with them. So he just never told her. And to this day, still hasn't told her. And he is very toxic. He treats the women that he's with just like that. As a matter of fact, he him and his girlfriend broke up because he got his baby mama pregnant again after he got out of jail. And now, if I'm not mistaken, him and that girl are probably still dating and talking, and his baby mama is just in the picture because this is his third kid by him, and she feels like she won a prize because she gets to be in the family and close to the family even though they aren't together. The first time he got her pregnant, she made a Facebook post and was like, I won. And it's like, what did you win? Like, what the hell are you talking about? And this is the cult mentality that black culture gives you. It's in the songs, it's sexy red behavior, it's Sukihana behavior. It's like in all of the staple black culture movies, that's the behavior that you see. That's what's programmed into their minds. Like I said before, pain, struggle, trauma, and dysfunction are a part of the black identity to them. And if you are a black person who doesn't fit into that, you're not black to them. You want to be white. And a lot of hood or ghetto black men love being able to bag a black woman who is considered proper or bougie or seen in a higher socioeconomic class, because to them it's like proximity to power, or like kind of like a social clout by association. They really don't feel like they should have been able to bag you. They don't feel like they're good enough for you. And a lot of the times they probably actually are right about that. But that doesn't stop them from trying to obtain you because they want the ego boost and the clout for being able to do that. It makes them feel more valuable, and it makes them look more valuable in the eyes of the people who are actually their peers. It also makes their female counterparts, which are the ghetto black women and the sexy reds of the black community, want them more. Because, and it's not necessarily because they actually want them more, it's because they want to compete with you. Well, sometimes it makes them just see that man is more valuable, but a lot of the times it just makes them want to compete with you. They want to prove to themselves that they're just as good as you or better. And if they can take a man from you or steal your man, then they feel like I must be just as good as her, or I must be equivalent to her, or I must be better than her because I could take her man. And they know that. One of the main things that the Sukihanas and the Sexy Reds and all of that rap about is being able to take somebody's man and being intimate with other people's husbands and all of that. And when it's somebody who subconsciously they feel like has a one up on them, then that's the ultimate power play to them. So as a black woman who is more prim and proper, your stock goes down while his goes up. And a lot of the times these black men want to be able to bag a woman who is classy, like I said before, but they don't want to do the work that it takes to keep that woman. They're used to the brokenness, the dysfunction, the desperation. They're used to women tolerating anything just to have a man around. They're used to the easy access and just the sexy red behaviors because they know how to control that. They know how to manipulate that. They know how to handle that because they see that brokenness all the time in their mothers, their sisters, their aunts. And they see how to maneuver that brokenness because I'm sure they've had a lot of practice. With a lot of them, they've been like primed and trained to handle it, and they see like how their dads, their uncles, their cousins, and all of that handle it. And that's all they're really suited for. So they like to pursue, perform, possess, and then punish. They pursue and perform by pretty much trying to mirror you. They'll love bomb you, and then when they possess you, they start to punish you. And that punishment is essentially them trying to break you like their mothers and sisters and aunts. And the longer it takes them to break you, the more they resent you and the harder they try to break you. Now you act like you're white and now you're bougie. Now they want to remind you that they also like ghetto and hood behavior and hood women. And the moments I've noticed that used in is when you're not giving them access to parts of you that they want access to as fast. Like bougie is just a way of saying you have standards and you respect yourself. And ghetto, to them, is really just a way of saying you don't have standards and boundaries. You're broken and traumatized. You don't respect yourself and you let anybody in and let anybody come and take what they want just for acceptance. Ghetto culture is really popular now. And I think that some of them, a lot of people, I think this is a projection, and I'm going to get into why I think that is later on in this video. But a lot of them project and think that, like, women who are quote unquote good girls want to be like the ghetto women. So then they try to use that to goat you into behavior that's unbecoming of you, or to goat you into behavior that benefits them, to goat you into letting them defile you, like Sukihana sings about in her songs. A good example I have of this is that recently I gave my number to this guy. And within our first actual, like, we spoken a few times here and there, but within our first actual, like, conversation, we were talking about foods that we like. And I asked him if he was an adventurous eater, because it was really given, I've never been anywhere, seen anything in my life. And I just, every time I go to a restaurant, I just want chicken tenders and french fries. Because all the things that I was naming, he was just like, no, I don't like all that. I don't do all that. I just stick to what I know. And I was like, boo, boring. And I was like, so are you an adventurous eater? And the first thing that came to his head was oral sex. Then he started to do this thing that men do a lot called, well, I don't know if this is an actual phrase, but I call it situational storytelling. So he was like, okay, so I want to ask you this, because me and some people at work were talking about this today. And I'm like, oh, wow, what a coincidence. They were talking about this today. It's so perfect how this story fits the situation that I'm talking about and the situation that you're trying to project ever so perfectly. So he was like, today, me and some people at work were having this conversation about women, specifically women, who try all kinds of foods. Like, they like seafood boils and they'll eat this and that and will try to eat anything. That means that they'll do oral sex. And I was like, he didn't say those words, so I'm just trying to clean it up. He said the actual words. Then he was like, but you a nice girl. You seem proper and all of this and that. You probably don't want to talk about that. And he was talking about how the girls who work where he works at on the line are like ghetto and stuff. So they entertained the conversation. And in that, what he was saying is that these women feel the need to prove themselves and they don't have any self respect, pretty much. But I seem like somebody with self respect is what was actually being said, looking at it from my perspective. But from his perspective, what he was trying to say is that, like bougie and good girl is like boring and this and that. He was trying to convince me, pretty much trying to get out of me whether or not I give oral sex within our first conversation, which is insane. And these are the situations a lot of ghetto black men try to use the whole bougie, prim and proper good girl versus the ghetto hood rat stereotype. And when it comes to women who are more hood trying to compete with women who have morals and self respect and present themselves well, that's what they use. They use their bodies, they use their desperation and like deep need and desire to be wanted by a man. And let me say this, desire to be wanted by a man, and this desire comes from trauma and brokenness, not simply just wanting to be in a relationship or in a functional relationship, because nothing is wrong with that. But when I say it, and I'm talking about this, is coming from a place of trauma and brokenness. And so they openly compete, and they use their, like, they pretty much do with like rap culture and all of that. Maybe when I say black culture here, I should be saying rap culture, because I don't like calling the behaviors I'm talking about black culture, even though, if we're gonna be honest, and I hate to say it, and I hate that this is a thing, people look at it as one and the same. And when I asked him, how does that even correlate? How does food that you're willing to eat and what you are and are not willing to do to a man sexually correlate? And he couldn't answer me. He just thought that he was going to goat me into saying it by calling me a good girl. And it's like, what the hell? What the helly? What the helliante? But I never, after that, I didn't plan to take him seriously. But, I get bored sometimes. So I entertain conversations with him when I'm bored. Or I would. I think I'm done doing that now. Because that's how a lot of conversations with him go. He's somebody who expects a woman to chase him. And that's another thing when it comes to like ghetto women or traumatized women. They will chase you. They'll let you be the feminine and they be the masculine, and I can tell that's what he wants out of me. So that's another thing that I noticed that they mean when they say ghetto. They mean they want you to let them rest in their feminine. A lot of men in hood culture or rap culture, a lot of the times masculine and feminine roles get flipped, and the women play the masculine role and the men play the feminine role. And you get into ghetto culture, Sukihana, Sexy Red, they are very masculine women. So that's another thing that they want you to be. Along with having no self-respect, being traumatized and broken, they want you to chase them and be masculine also. So at this point, it's pretty clear that they like using the ghetto women for easy access and fun. And they like using bougie women for status and proximity to power to make themselves feel powerful and valuable. The very thing that they deem as whiteness or trying to be white is the very thing that you're looking at and using for proximity to power and status. And same thing with my cousin. She views me and her other cousin as trying to be white, as bougie, as prim and proper, as trying to be perfect. She's never said all of that to me, but she often tells me how she thinks that certain things are too ghetto for me. And her cousin, who behaves just and talks similar to me, she'll say those things about her to me. And it's like, well, you probably think the same thing about me. And I notice how she uses her proximity to people who she views as more like me and more like her cousin, her other cousin, to make herself seem more valuable or to make herself seem like she's making better decisions in life. A good example of that is there's this guy who used to come to her house and sleep with her in the middle of the night and leave. And he's been doing that for a while, but he won't bring her out of the house and carry her anywhere because she is ghetto and because he doesn't fit his lifestyle. She doesn't fit into the people at all the conferences and things like that he goes to. She doesn't fit in with those people. She doesn't fit in with his group. And she's often, well, when she would deal with him, she would often be upset because he would never take her out in public or go anywhere with her in the daytime. And she would want to prove to him that she knows how to act and she knows this, that, and the third. But anyway, she was trying to make a point as to why she was better than somebody else. And she was like, well, my man got a Porsche. So that when that is in fact not her man. And once she was talking about how she don't really hang out with people who don't have anything going for themselves and ghetto people. And she started talking about all of the possessions that the people she tries to surround herself with has. And it's like, so you hang out with these people just because it gives you like proximity to power, but it seems like you don't actually like them. It seems like you have so many internal biases, and you always talk about how people like us or people like them try to be white, and you say things like, oh, they think they're perfect but they're not. And she always telling me they business and they like things that are not going so well in their lives, like she's happy to hear it. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm never telling you about anything that's not going well in my life, which luckily and thankfully I'm so grateful for. It is never really much. um, but she does that, and then she uses her way of living and the things that she likes to do to, in her mind, level the playing fields, like I said before, and belittle them and invalidate who she feels like they are. So it's like she likes to hang out with people who she perceives as better than her, who are normally people who are proper and bougie and quote unquote act white, so that she can get that power to proximity. And while she's doing that, she likes to try to approximate them to her, which she feels like is ghetto and all of that. And it's kind of like an energy exchange. It's kind of like a destiny swap, to be honest. And now that I think about it, it's the exact same thing with the hood bugger guy who gets with the prim proper girl and tries to drag her down to his level. You want to be with her because it ups your value, but you want to lower her value so you can feel better about yourself. A destiny swap. And this gets into why I said earlier, I feel like when hood people think that people who are bougie and proper want to be like them, it's a projection. Because in all actuality, they want to be seen as more valuable in society. They don't want to be seen as like the bottom of the barrel. And so they do want to be seen with the same value as somebody who is considered white or to act white or bougie or proper. And they project that onto you if you are somebody who falls into that category or those stereotypes. A lot of the times, or most of the time, when black people want to put on their best face, when they're trying to impress somebody, when they want better in life, when they want to seem and feel valuable, when they want to seem and feel intelligent, when they want a career opportunity, a new job, they put on the prim, proper, bougie black person act, but will still ridicule black people who, like, that's actually their way of living and how they are. And it's like, you get to pretend to be like us when you want better out of life, and to maintain that, you have to continue to wear that mask, and it's the exact opposite of who you are on the inside. You have to walk around acting and being like something that you're not to be seen as valuable in society, which is not fair. But it's definitely why they spew so much hate at the black people who that comes naturally to. And it's so hypocritical that you do that to get better in life, but when black people who are prim proper and quote unquote bougie or act white to you want to have fun and, like, listen to rap music and dance and all this and that, you act like it's something that's not supposed to be possible, especially if you're actually good at it. Like, you can dance, you can twerk and all this and that. They act so shocked. And it's like, if you started using big words and enunciating properly, and I looked at you and said, oh my God, you don't look like you know how to speak anything other than Ebonics, you would be ready to punch me in the eye. All of a sudden I'm judging and I think I'm better than you and all this and that. When on the flip side, ghetto black people do that too. Bougie black people, or, classy or whatever you want to call it, black people all the time. So is that not the same thing? You do that and now you're anti-black, but it's not anti-black for you to pile all black people into one group and say that you can't be black unless you behave in that way. And the way that is in question is fueled by trauma, insecurity, poverty, and brokenness. That's not anti black to you. You accept anything white into the community that operates in that energy, and that's not anti black to you. That's crazy. I said all of that to say that I don't think that acting white should be a thing that black people say to separate black people who are accomplished and intelligent, because it also separates blackness from intelligence and competence. And I hate that a lot of black people don't realize or understand that. I know that this is a very controversial topic, but if you disagree with me and you have, or if you have anything that you want to add, if you want to share any experiences that you've had, just drop them down below.